All right. So last stream I did, I was working on importing all the stocks and I actually got that done. It took about 17 hours for a little over 7,100 stocks. I'll go through that data right now just before we get into calculations, because I did some calculations as I figured out what's going on. So these are all the stocks I have. Crazy amount. It's basically 7,100 minus what, 3, 2. So 7,112 stocks loaded, and I used Yahoo as a public download link, so I just found the Unix timestamp for the day I was looking for, so I'm like 1 all the way to the current day, and now I have it on a job. So every night at 5 it starts running, and it's actually running right now. And I put a wait for delay in it. I'll just open that job right now. There we go, daily update records. So I put a wait for delay in it. It's just so, you know, Yahoo's not like, we're going to ban you because you're pegging the system too hard. So this takes a while. I don't know. I think I might fork this out and create 2 jobs that works on like even and odds, just so I can get it done faster, or maybe 5 jobs. Because I don't think 4 calls a second would flag me. I don't even know if any calls a second would flag me, but I just don't want to get in trouble so early in the game. So that's currently pulling today's data. And then it shrinks the database, because how big is our database so far? It's freaking massive. I got 12 gig available and 128 gig of data. Meaning, you know, the transactions are a single day for a single stock. So stock came out in 86. I have, 1,200 something days for them. So transactions, I have 24 million transactions. But each transaction has a property. So each transaction has a numeric attached to it. And that's kind of what I'm going to go over today, how I'm doing this, what I'm doing. There's some optimizations I want to do, but, you know, this is where we're at right now. So how this relationship works, if you've been following build this yourself type deal that I have on YouTube, this is a domain. It's the top level. It's related to all of these other things, and all of these other things are related to its, respective realm, class, family type. So is this data main? vfun ref numeric tree. So realm, class, family, type is the structure. So this goes to a type, which goes to a family, class, realm. Taxonomy, it's a classification system. So the realm I have is transaction, calculated versus financial, and stock, moving averages. Under stock, I have the close adjusted high-low open and trade volume, and right now the moving averages, both exponential and simple moving averages, for several different periods. Now, when you take 22 million records and you multiply it by all of these, you get quite a big table. So I think I don't remember how many I have. Is that 200 million? Yeah, so 205 million records in here. This is the biggest table I have, 63 gig. Now all of this condenses down into about 11 gigs, so pretty happy, or at least not the moving averages and stuff, but after I finish downloading the stock market, I zip that sucker up just in case this thing breaks. I don't want to repeat that. So I have a Microsoft database full of this stuff. Nope. Look at my chat. There we go. So yeah, 200 million. Now, I don't know if you guys have worked in SQL before, but 200 million records is quite a lot of data. But it's not in the system. You just have to know how to properly model the physical layer, how to properly isolate data. So I'm working on RSI right now, Relative Strength Index. This is going to help me with some predictions. So right now, this is going to look for 2 years of data in the event table, which is what, 22 million as well, 24 million. Join our 200 million record table and join our probably 24 million again, because it's a 1-to-1 right now. Yep, 24 million. To filter data, we're going to do, all of these different rank functions and aggregations and all of this stuff. And when you have a good physical model, this isn't a server. This is my desktop. Yes, I got an NVMe, but this is just my desktop. So my speed is, this is what happens when you model correctly. So this would be the RSI that I want to calculate. So for the exponential moving averages and all this stuff, before I get into making decisions to have SQL tell me what stocks I should look for, if I wake up, hit a button, it should say, hey, check these 10 out because, or check these 50 out because X. So technical analysis charting, I'm still brand new at, but I spent the last few months in an awesome Discord channel learning about this stuff. So I use Report Builder to basically create a simple report because of what we can do. So looking for the Microsoft ticker, the last 50 days, I get all my moving averages so I can get a look at what's happening. I'm going to combine these to create the MACDs and everything for different types of periods. So I have multiple points of reference, but for the most part, that's what's happening. Because the high lows, the open close, and the volume, I can get my candles up, which it doesn't seem like the candles ever wick down. Not sure why yet. And then the volumes, but I don't really think this matters. This is just for me trying to figure out what's going on. So I can not look at this and just make SQL do this. And also I'm drawing support and resistance lines mathematically. So it's like, we have to visually look at this to see, oh, this is a support line, this is a support line, but we can actually see when the lines start doubling up where we get a more of an actual support line. So we'll be able to look at a date range and ask for more, because as we decrease the date range, our support lines change, and as we increase the date range, it gets pretty freaking messy. So 150 days gets pretty messy. But for having 204 million records in the system is pretty fast. You check out the trends. So there isn't much I can do today except for go over how this is being processed until this is done, and this takes about 2 hours. So Friday, or every day at 5, about 2 hours later, this will be done. So I'll go over the how I'm calculating the moving averages and SMAs and all that. So for the simple moving average, because I want all of these, I have all of these, what I should be doing is actually defining this in a relationship, so I can pull a relationship from the numeric type IDs, so I don't have to rely on this. We don't want this in our system. So it's a point of opportunity that I can improve the system by just creating a simple relationship between a definition called SMA and the numeric type IDs for this. And another, sort of relationship to tell us what the observations are or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But definitely can improve this to make it faster. I think this takes about 2 seconds per 100 days. So, per like full amount for 1200 days. So it is already pretty fast. But so essentially all I do is loop through each of these SMAs and try to make sure that they don't already exist, because the SMAs are pretty independent. Once you get the first, 5 days or 200 days out of the way, even when we don't really need to update anything, because it's not a complex calculation. It's just a sum and an average. So that is all this does. And what this is how I'm generating the moving averages. So I don't know if anyone's worked with Windows or windowed functions. Essentially just getting the average of the price, the numeric value. Numeric type is the close price adjusted, all this stuff right here. Just like I had in the RSI, but I decided to use tokens because you can't put a variable right here. So I didn't want to, put all of this stuff in here and have it run each time. I figured, I'll just get all the variables I need, make sure I have a token for them, run some replace, but I can't put a variable right here. So I need to make sure that there's a number there, and the only way to do that is dynamic SQL. So this returns JSON. And then when I get the JSON back, I essentially can just open it and see if it exists or not, just bulk load it. That's all there is to that. But I will run this so you can see how this looks. What is it? I know it's group ID is 3 for Microsoft. What do I do? 25 SMA. So make sure I have that correct. Okay. Should sit up when I type so I make less mistakes. Just 25. Let's do 200 observations. So like this is really fast for what's going on, and I think I should steal this code right here. Boom. We'll just do that. So it splits it out just how I need it. Since I'm setting the observations down, I already know what numeric type ID it is, so that's basically it. And this is where my new data is coming in at the higher transaction IDs. So yeah, that's basically it for SMA, because SMA is a simple thing to calculate. EMA basically requires the SMA if you don't, or if you're not already calculating it. So I went through, now I kind of reduced this down to 200 since, all I had to do was take this out, run the whole thing. I have all my EMAs from the beginning of the stock's existence. I ignore things earlier when it doesn't meet the requirement for the number of observations. but you know, that's your EMA for you. Or we get the type ID for the SMA and EMA. Again, I could create relationships to replace this table, but sometimes your test code makes it into the production just so you can speed ahead and then go fix stuff as you're thinking about newer things, because you want to plan out stuff. So multiplier, get the close price, get our multiplier, see if there is an EMA already. If there is not, and this is the first observation, we're going to pull the SMA, because that's how the EMA works. Or if it is null. If it is null and it's greater than 1, that means we don't have it yet. So we're going to process this. We're going to create it, which is basically, if we are 1, we will put it in the, we will grab the SMA, put it back in the database, and then set the SMA to the previous value. And then when we come back again, we'll actually have our EMA to do the calculation. Our multiplier, 2 divided by observations plus 1, close minus previous, plus EMA previous. That's, yep, the difference plus the previous EMA times the multiplier. Yep, okay. And that one's also pretty simple, but I do want to go through and update them, so I'm actually going to change this to work with observations, because I do not want to update that much. Nope. Just want to make sure I just get enough, just to make sure that we're, you know, yeah, just get enough data. So this is actually faster than the SMA, because it's a lot of lookups versus row functions. And yeah, that's the EMA is pretty simple. Ooh, I hope I didn't do... Okay, it's still working on the import. It's like, I hope I didn't change the procedure as it's running. That would suck. So that's CMA, SMA, and now it's basically RSI. Trying to do the same thing, calculating the RSI for every single stock, so I can put it in here. And then we will, what's another, today was such a messed up day. So I don't have SPY data yet, just later on. But then I'll be able to put my MACD in here, my RSI in here, and we'll start making decisions. So I can say, hey, look for the golden cross, look for the death cross, look for convergences with high RSI, look at yesterday's RSI, what's the change, you know, all of these things that I can do for all stocks at once, instead of looking at these charts, because no one has time to look at 7100 charts. But I just want to get some of this stuff up and ready. So am I pulling, this group ID is being set right now. All right. So I like to use JSON in the system instead of parameters in my stored procedures, where if I need more, I modify them. Trainings on what? Like, what are you looking for trainings for? Because no, I've never actually thought about. The transaction ID. easier if I just carry the transaction ID through, and then I could just do a simple update and I don't have to do any sort of crazy magic. Oh wait, I am pushing it through already. There it is right there. To be a developer, actually, I tried. My channel. So I have a YouTube channel. I tried to do beginner stuff. And it's really hard to remember. Yeah, it's really hard to remember where I was when I was beginning. But this right here, if you can push through this and you can build this yourself, this will take you so far than any other sort of teaching and learning about like the basic concepts, because this is something that people should be using and they don't use because they're so focused on this horizontal storage. Like a name shouldn't go in the person table. It has nothing to do with the person. It's a property of a person. So if I had a people, I should have a name table specifically for names. You know, usernames, Facebook, Twitter, first name, last name. How many middle names do you have? It's like, what's Pablo Picasso's full name? It's like, how do you store this in some of the tables people have? So this playlist, if you can push through this entire playlist, you know, send me questions on LinkedIn, on Reddit, however you want to contact me. I'll answer your questions. I've not thought about actually giving training or doing that kind of webinar stuff because I'm a little autistic and I don't remember where I was at the moment that I started learning this. I wouldn't know where to start. But yeah, you can always reach out to me. I love teaching, so just hit me up whenever you have a question and I will help you out. But I won't do your homework for you. You got to do your own homework. What am I? Replace comma with a new line and a comma. I love DevArts. I love DevArts. SQL complete. But I wish I could control the formatting. All right. So once I have all my RSI information, what I'll need to do is, who does this row belong to? What's the numeric type ID for it? And I think I have to be more specific than that. Yep, I will. So I'll need one for, let's say this is RSI, and we'll figure out if it's 1014 or whatever numbers that we do. So we can just make a generic RSI. Got the transaction ID from down here, and then this is doing my math, so I have the actual value called RSI. Description, abbreviation, column, key names, sequence, display order, cleanse to. I don't need any of that, but it's active and trusted. Sweet. So this should be a pretty easy one. Because of when I'm getting these, I'm going to be lazy. And let's call this, oh, that's name. So get one from the numeric, TRX numeric, where TRX numeric dot transaction ID, transaction numeric transaction ID is equal to the transaction ID. We'll call this CTRSI just to give it a alias. So transactions match it and transaction numeric type ID is equal to that numeric type ID for the RSI. All right, that would be it. Our current transaction ID only has one numeric type per. So this would be just inserted in where not equal to. So this will be basically all I need for the RSI. That's simple. I'll do the basic one where I say I'm actually iterating through the groups on this. Yep, okay. Did that for the job. And I'll show you that in a second, but it's whatever. Create a procedure for RSI. That's all we're gonna do in here. So I can take this data. Just plug it in. Simple enough. But there are some things I need to do. So the operating tenant is what our group ID tenant will be. It's not going to know because I don't have it here. So we will need, actually, observations is still fine. So I can actually borrow code from somewhere else because why not? Save time trying, typing. Oh, wait. I'm blind. There it is, right there. 2017 and later, we can use JSON. So, like I said, if I only have these parameters in every single procedure, I can treat everything dynamically way easier. And if I need a new parameter, I just add it to the JSON block. And web devs love JSON. So, neat little package. So I'll just make sure that I send the group ID and the observations to this. Let's say we will get our numeric type ID. There it is. Equals RSI observations. So that should be, dynamic enough where we can call this for 10, we can call this for 14, and it will do it for us. I will have this on 2 years for right now. I'm going to test one, Microsoft, just because I remembered it, and then I will run my entire data set And I'll go back and I'll change this to day minus observations. But I have to do that initial feed anyways. So in order to make sure my database can store this, I just have to add it in here. So what am I using? Transaction, financial. Let's do calculated and indicator. Because it's really specific to, I don't know what an RSI is in any other realm. Moving averages are, pretty common, but not when we get into, the very specifics. So I have a class of calculated, ID is 3, I'll go to family, I have moving average, so I'll make an indicator. Now that's family 5, and I can make my types. So under the indicator, I have an RS. I have 10 is a good one, RSI 10. And I'll have a 14. And this is a simple moving average, RSI. I can create whatever that W guy's name is. Because remember, I'm ignorant when I'm new to this, but not when it comes to math. Or exponential moving average. Let me look up common RSIs. RSI drugs? No. I thought it was 1014 and something else. Common RSI periods. Two, 6, 10, 14. Why 2? That seems super fast. 20. 10, 14, 20. That's a good range. We'll do 10, 14, 20. Sweet. So if I were to come in here and say 25, nothing, but 10, yeah, excellent. So we will do, just for our sake, I think this is the right way, right? I always forget the order. But what we're going to do is basically error out, raise an error, return, so in case there are any transactions above it, it'll fail out. Actually, I don't want to fail out. We just won't run it. I'll comment this out because I don't want to fail out, but I also don't want you to run it. So sweet. This will do our 2 years. This will make sure that we don't get any partial RSIs, because we don't want any partials in there. And let's see, okay. get my stuff in, group ID observations, which will be 10 or 14 or 20. Bam. Glad I double checked, because that shouldn't be there. That will get the appropriate type ID. That is the wrong one. This is why I double check my work, because I'm bad at that. We know this works. This we will change after we load everything. I've already checked all my math. I could decrease all of this because I don't need most of this stuff, but whatever. Insert into where not exists. RSI, transaction ID, that should be it. So then basically I have my RSI calculation that I will be running after my import is done. So it takes forever. I've been wanting to stream for a while, but it takes forever to import 7,000 stocks from Yahoo. All right. So technically I can just modify this, copy this, blah, 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 run this. Wait, this is EMA, all groups. Oh, because, yeah, there we go. That's for the observations. Oh, okay. So what about SMA? So I will have to take that approach. No problems. So we'll do an RSI version where, I mean, technically I don't need anything but 10, 14, and 20. I get rid of the rest of these. It can do whatever it wants with the key name. It's not like it matters. I have the insert at the bottom, so I don't need it up here to return the data. And I don't need to waste time on this. I just need to modify and make sure that I'm calling the RSI procedure, which will do all of my edits for me. So this will take care of, let's just go ahead and avoid confusion. There we go. That'll be my RSI all, and then I will do my RSI all groups, which is just iterating through the group and calling the RSI all. So now I have this job daily update records, and this will load the data, and then I have the indicators for all groups. Which will do specific ones. So if I'm iterating through all the groups already, this is where I'd put my RSI, but I want to process it first before I put it in here. And then every day, my RSIs will start getting updated, all that stuff. Oh snap, I was gonna talk about, all right. 40 minutes. All right, I'll do 20 more minutes. I want to talk about this. This is pretty cool because I need to do this on diagonal, fitting the base of the line. So that's gonna be a little bit more complicated, not necessarily regression because we don't want to cut the line like this because stocks aren't predictable like that. We actually want to chunk periods out to draw these lines. So once we find the function, we can cut off the period because we invalidate, like if I was to draw a trend line up, it would be invalidated right here. So I don't, want to keep trying to move this line. I just want to create another one. Same thing, if I were to draw this line up here, it might be invalidated right here because it's up here as well. So y equals mx plus b, find the 2 points, draw a line, draw a line, draw a line. Just so it gives you the diagonals versus the resistance. But the oh no, where'd it go? Support and resistance. Oh, abstract SQL scripts, okay. Okay. Support and resistance. This one's pretty fun since I already have all that information stored. Basically, to find the supports and resistances, is just trying to find if the price closed that we're currently looking at, 1 behind us, 2 behind us, 1 in front, 2 in front, we're greater than our current position. So we're basically looking for this kind of dip. I think I might change this. This isn't stored data, this is calculated on the fly because a different time range will have different lines. And we don't want to store all of that information. We can just put this in a function to get the data out, but the reason why I want to modify this is I don't want to give it a strict greater than. I kind of want to give it like a deviation, like a plus minus, something to deal with the price that we're looking at, because I can't just say 1%, because 1% on a $3,000 stock is different than 1% on a 60-cent stock. So probably have to figure something out, but no problems. And that will make my lines a little bit better. But essentially this is all it was. That was 90% of the work, looking behind us twice, before us, or after us twice, us being the particular data in the row as we're running through the entire data set. Support and resistance, just naming these for the report. That is absolutely all that was necessary for drawing lines. And that's what gives us this. So look forward to me doing more of these things because, I'm back in the data biz. I'm just, I got my learning done on stocks. I'm gonna start doing all this, these maths. We'll create decisions, create little dashboards, this stock passes 15 out of X bullish signals, but 5 out of X bearish signals. We'll have this nice little window up here telling us what to do or what it represents, but for the most part every day I want to do a Twitch in the morning that says, hey, this robot says do this. And later on we'll get into scikit and Python. We'll create ourselves a bidirectional long short-term memory cell. So we can kind of do price predictions. I don't know how well that's going to work because there's nothing, there's not really any relationships, but good stuff. And since this is a database, you just grab data from Reddit, Wall Street Bets, or Twitter, and look for the stock name, all that stuff. So thank you for tuning in. Reach me out on Reddit, Abstract SQL Engineer. Tag me if you're interested in a specific chart, and I will print it up for you, send it out. And expect that soon for maybe a few weeks for daily stocks alerts. But thank you guys again, and I will see you next time.